Monday to Sunday.
It's hard to explain, okay? But
All day. All year round.
it's so mysterious.
This is who we are.
This is who we are. WADR.
WADR. You can listen to us on 94.9 FM in Dakar through our website www.wadr.org. WADR. Promoting dialogue.
It's 6 p.m. in Dakar. Good evening and welcome to Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and worldwide on wadr.org. Here are the top stories. The Ivorian Electoral Commission publishes a provisional electoral roll of 8 million eligible voters. The main political parties in Guinea, RPG and UFDG vow to challenge the transitional government over the suspension.
Now they are in campaign. They want to push Doumbouya to be candidates. The question is, will Doumbouya listen to them?
Custom officials in Ghana intercept narcotics at the Tema port worth $1.3 million.
As much as we are interested in facilitating trade in this country, we will not allow Ghana to be safe havens for opioids.
And authorities in Nigeria's north-central state of Plateau ban all mining activities due to insecurity and environmental degradation. Please stay tuned for details of these stories and more.
Here is Abdullahi Hassan with Newslink.
Many thanks for joining us and welcome to our listeners across the sub-region and beyond. The president of the Ivorian Independent Electoral Commission, Ibrahim Coulibaly Kubert, today announced the publication of the updated electoral list for the October 2025 presidential election. Unsurprisingly, Laurent Gbagbo and Chabli Goudé are both absent from the recently generated electoral list. As he addressed the press, the president of the commission seized the opportunity to dismiss claims of partisanship and discrimination directed at the election body. Christopher Ticho has more on this report.
Starting this October, appointment for primary voters in the electoral district will be given from the 17th up until the 21st. In an address to IEC representatives, the president expressed that political organizations will be availed of the list in an electronic format. This set of publications marks the beginning of the legal contest phase as the list is available at the official site. Ibrahim Coulibaly does admit that the list is not flawless and that one error could lead to a chain reaction. Thus, the phase known as contest adjournment opens on the 22nd day of March and lasts for a period of 2 weeks. The president of the IEC also made his stance clear, reiterating that the institution would not support baseless accusations or outlandish claims. Complaints must be firmly backed by undeniable evidence, while those who are unhappy with the outcomes can approach the court, he said. Coulibaly Kubien reported that over 8 million voters are included on the list, translating to a participation rate of 64%. Coulibaly Kubien asserts that today, Côte d'Ivoire possesses a reliable electoral system, which is admired by other nations, and urged all political parties and civil society organizations to work alongside the IEC to promote a peaceful and transparent elections.
Christopher Ticho reporting there. And in Guinea, the UFDG party of the opposition leader, Selun Darlin Jallo, has been given 45 days to regularize its existence, else risks suspension or dissolution. The decision, announced by the Minister of National Territorial Administration, followed the suspension of the country's two main political parties, RPG Arkansas of former President Alpha Condé and the UFR of former Prime Minister Sidia Touré. These pronouncements are the outcome of the final report on the evaluation of political parties presented to the authorities last Friday. However, the parties concerned have announced that they will confront the junta, which they accuse of wanting to clear the field for General Mamadou Doumbouya to run for the presidency. Here is Senator Alpha Ibrahim Balde's report presented by Augustine Colley.
According to the Ministry of Territorial Administration, the former ruling party RPG does not meet the criteria set out in the Charter of Political Parties and has therefore been suspended for 90 days. Responding via a social media post, Alpha Conde says that the RPG AEC has no intention of complying with this decision because, he says, it has no legal basis. Opposition supported by Executive Board member Karamo Nambe. The UFR party, the country's third largest political force, has also been suspended for 90 days. But for the moment, there has been no official reaction. Selu Darlin Jalot's UFDG has been authorized to continue its activities until it organizes its Congress in 45 days at the risk of being suspended or dissolved. At a General Assembly on Saturday, Suleimani Konatei, a member of the UFDG Political Council, denounced the results of the evaluation of political parties. In a statement, the forces spoke of a basic maneuver aimed at legitimizing General Mamadou Doumbouya's rule through a forced electoral process.
Augustine Colley with that report filed in by WAD as Conakry correspondent Cheno Alpha Ibrahim Balde. Now, several West African countries have been targeted in the draft list of travel bans by the U.S. Department of State. Developed in consultation with U.S. security officials and embassies, the draft list is comprised of 43 countries and has 3 groupings of red, orange, and yellow categories. These countries, some of whom already face immediate ban, have either failed to show the United States information about incoming travelers, have inadequate security practices for issuing passports, or are selling citizenship to people from banned countries. Francis Boniface completes the story.
11 countries, including Libya, Somalia, and Sudan, fall under the red category, which means a total ban for travelers from these locations, as published on March 14 by the New York Times. On the second tier, colored orange, 10 countries, including Sierra Leone, South Sudan, and Russia, face sharp visa restrictions but are not cut off. In those cases, affluent business travelers might be allowed to enter, but not people traveling on immigrant or tourist visas. The third category, marked yellow, has 22 countries, among them Liberia, the Gambia, Benin, Mali, Burkina Faso, Cape Verde, Mauritania, Chad, and Cameroon have 60 days to clear up perceived deficiencies, with the threat of being moved to one of the other lists if they do not comply. Anonymous sources told the Daily that authorities of these countries are either perceived as weak or corrupt. There are, however, concerns about whether people with existing visas would be exempted from the ban or if their visas would be cancelled. It should be recalled that the draft followed an executive order issued by President Donald Trump on January 20, requiring the State Department to identify countries for which screening information is so deficient as to warrant a partial or full suspension.
Francis Boniface reporting there.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Remember, we stream live on wadr.org. Ghanaian authorities at the Tema port have intercepted a consignment of opioid worth 20 million cedis, approximately $1.3 million. The consignment, containing powerful painkillers and other controlled substances, was en route to Niger Republic. The seizure, led by Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority (GRA) in collaboration with other agencies, has sparked renewed calls for stricter monitoring of the country's entry points. This seizure comes on the back of a recent BBC Africa Eye investigation which uncovered how Avio Pharmaceuticals, through Westfin International, reportedly exported unapproved drugs. WADR's Nadia Tete reports.
Opioid drugs worth an estimated 20 million Ghana cedis, approximately $1.3 million have been intercepted at the Tema port of Ghana in what authorities describe as a major victory against illicit drug trafficking. The shipment, which included powerful opioid medications such as tapentadol, lopramid, and chlorpheniramine maleate, was en route to Niger. The interception was carried out by the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, working in collaboration with other stakeholders. Minister of Health Kwabena Mintah Kando, addressing journalists at the ports, reaffirmed the government's commitment to stopping Ghana from becoming a transit hub for illegal opioids.
As much as we are interested in facilitating trade in this country. We will not allow Ghana to be safe havens for opioids. And let me tell you that His Excellency the President is personally interested in this matter. On my way here, he called me twice. It tells you how important and critical this particular issue is. And so we have the full support of His Excellency the President.
The seized shipment contained 26 cartons of Rahul tapentadol, 160 cartons of Trafadol tapentadol, 40 cartons of Timaking tapentadol, 190 cartons of Lopramid, and 320 cartons of clofeniramine maleate. Health experts warn that the intercepted opioids pose severe risks when misused. Tapentadol, a powerful painkiller, can cause respiratory failure, addiction, and fatal overdose. Lopramid, when abused in high doses, may lead to heart complications and sudden death, while clofeniramine maleate can cause hallucinations and cognitive impairment. Health authorities caution that the growing trafficking of such substances threaten public health, increases drug dependency, and places a strain on healthcare systems. They are calling for stricter border controls and public awareness to combat the dangers of opioid abuse. For WADR, Nadidi Tete, Accra.
Away from Ghana, the Gambia's National Council for Civic Education has commenced regional learning forums aimed at promoting the rights of persons with disabilities in the country. The gathering brought together relevant stakeholders with a view to identifying challenges faced by PWDs across different regions and proposing effective solutions. These consultations are also expected to popularize the Persons with Disability Act, which was enacted into law in 2021. Sankle Janko tells us more.
The forum, which began on Sunday in Banjul, will be held in all regions of the Gambia to advance the rights and inclusion of persons with disabilities, PWDs, in the Gambia. Yusuf Bojang is the Chief Civic Officer of the National Council for Civic Education.
We are here to foster meaningful dialogue, share best practice, identify and address challenges, proffer concrete recommendation. Key focus of our forum today will be to delve into the provisions of this Act, Persons with Disability Act 2021.
According to the Gambia Federation of the Disabled, GFD, more than 10% of the country's population lives with a form of disability. Despite some recorded progress, challenges such as inadequate resource allocation, limited awareness, and ineffective implementation of Persons with Disabilities Act 2021 continue to hinder access to essential services, employment, and public participation. Stigma and discrimination remain major barriers to full inclusion. However, UNICEF representative Marcos Angula applauded the government for enacting the Persons with Disability and called for more efforts.
Legal frameworks alone are not enough. We must translate policies into tangible actions. We must expand inclusive education, improve healthcare access, and ensure that children with disabilities are protected from discrimination and violence. The time is now to continue with the implementation of the Persons with Disabilities Act.
The forums will ultimately enhance dialogue and collaboration among government agencies, civil society organizations, and disability rights advocates, as well as identify challenges faced by PWDs across the different regions and propose effective solutions. The National Council for Civic Education is organizing these forums in collaboration with UNICEF and the United Nations Partnership on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities.
Sankule Janko reporting there. And just before the break, let's take you to Nigeria, where the government of Plateau State in the north-central region has suspended all mining activities, citing security threats and environmental degradation. The decision, announced by Governor Caleb Mutfwang in January this year, has sparked mixed reactions from residents and stakeholders. While some support the move as necessary to address insecurity, others warn of economic hardship for those who depend on mining for their livelihood. For more on this, here's our correspondent Usman Umar reporting from Jos.
For years, mining has been a source of livelihood for thousands of people in Plateau State, north-central Nigeria. But concerns over illegal activities, environmental damage, and rising insecurity have led to a government crackdown. Governor Caleb Mutfwang says the suspension of mining is necessary.
I, the Executive Governor and Chief Security Officer of Plateau State, deem it necessary to suspend all mining activities in Plateau State for security reasons.
But not everyone agrees. Public affairs analyst and miner Olufemi Bode argues that an outright ban will do more harm than good.
Now that even the governor is saying because of insecurity, that it is now that there will be insecurity. Jos is a town that has no diverse occupation, particularly it is ministerial work, ministry and other things. Making this declaration, to me, in my own considered opinion, that it should have been done better.
For students like Ringret Kefas, who relies on mining to fund her education, the suspension is a major setback.
Lots of people who really depend on this mining for survival, and other students too who their parents can't provide for them completely. Instead of going for other crimes and for young girls to going for hookups, they fall back prostitution. Yes, they fall back to mining. I'm an example. I go for mining at weekends when I'm done with my school activities for the week. So I think this is not really going to be great or nice on the people because they are really having tough times.
However, others believe mining sites have become breeding grounds for criminal activity. With the ban now in place, the Plateau State government now faces the challenge of balancing security, economic survival, and environmental protection. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, Usman Umar reporting from Jos, North Central Nigeria.
Listening to Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and live on wadr.org. Here's a reminder of our top stories. The Ivorian Electoral Commission publishes provisional electoral roll of 8 million eligible voters. The main political parties in Guinea, RPG and UFR vow to challenge the transitional government over the suspension. Custom officials in Ghana intercept narcotics at the Tema port worth $1.3 million. Authorities in Nigeria's north central state of Plateau ban all mining activities due to insecurity and environmental degradation. Ahead in the news, we have the guest interview and sports news. Please stay with us.
West Africa Democracy Radio. It's you speaking.
Many thanks for staying with us. Let's take you to Liberia, where a woman has opened up about her medical ordeal following a routine antenatal care visit to ELWA Hospital in Monrovia. What began for Jemeseta Kume as an ordinary appointment on February 24, 2025 has spiraled into a nightmare as she fights for her life at the intensive care unit of the JFK Hospital. Jemeseta, a registered nurse who was at the time in her last trimester, narrated the sequence of events that unfolded during her visit. Abraham Parker has more.
James Etta explained that the medical staff at the hospital insisted on proceeding with the induction, which ultimately failed. This failure necessitated a C-section, a procedure that James Etta, a nurse of self, believed to be minor. However, since the surgery in February, she has suffered health setbacks such as kidney failure, deteriorating liver function, and traumatizing experience of having her womb removed.
When I started bleeding, they said the uterus was not contracting. So they suggested total hysterectomy. I agreed. Kept me in the second time they did a total hysterectomy. But when they brought me back on the wall, everything became abnormal again.
An exiled Liberian activist, Martin Cuddy, has since launched a GoFundMe to help cater to James Etta's health. Joyce Kilikpo, Executive Director of Public Health Initiative Liberia, a civil society organization in the health space, is calling for an urgent investigation into the matter.
We are demanding for an independent investigation, be able to fast track this particular case. Also, other institutions like the Liberia Board of Nursing and Midwifery should be part of this this investigation.
Jeans Etta's case is not the first of such incidents to be reported. In January this year, the Liberia Medical and Dental Council suspended the lesson of one Dr. Tidy Ngo following the death of 21-year-old Isaiah Williams. Investigations revealed operational lapses, malpractice, and lessening violations. As of the time of filing this report, health authorities, including the management of ELW Hospital, have remained tepid on the issue. For Newslink on WADR, I'm Abraham Parker in Monrovia.
Politics, analysis on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
Our guest tonight takes us to Guinea, where 80 political parties have been dissolved, 27 suspended, 28 placed under observance, and 75 political parties been authorized to operate by the transitional government. This decision was the outcome of the final report on the evaluation of political parties presented to the authorities last Friday. However, the parties concerned have announced that they will confront the junta, which they accuse of wanting to clear the field for the transitional president, General Mamadou Doumbouya, to run in the presidential election. Our guest, Dr. Faye Milimono, president of the Guinean Liberal Bloc, speaks to WADR about the new development and its potency to cause unrest in the country.
On last Friday, the Minister of Territorial Administration has given the final results of the evaluation of political parties. The breakdown as we speak is as follows. Were dissolved 80. The first time there were 53 political parties dissolved, and recently another 27, which make 80 political parties dissolved. As we speak, we still have 27 political parties suspended. Among them, you have the party led by the former Prime Minister, Sidia Touré, and the former president. And we also have about 28 political parties in observation. They are authorized to resume their activities, but they still have to abide by the law in about 45 days. Among those parties, you have the party led by the former Prime Minister, Cellou Dalein Diallo. And you have 75 political parties authorized to resume their political activities. That's the situation as we speak.
What is the whole essence of this whole cleanup exercise that the transitional government is actually doing?
It is very suspicious because, look, when the junta came, they put on the table an agenda that everybody had appreciated. And they have stated clearly on the network everything that Doumbouya had said. He won't be candidates. No one of his junta will be candidates, and no one of the government and the transitional, the legislative body will be candidates. But it's been almost 5 months. That message is changing. Now they are in campaign. They want to push Doumbouya to be candidates. The question is, will Doumbouya listen to them? If you see how much money has been already spent, the public money, and that has been authorized by the junta, it will be very hard to say that Doumbouya doesn't have any intention to be candidates. So at this time, because of that intention to be candidates, that process of evaluation become very suspicious.
How is the current situation creating political unrest and social unrest in the country at the moment?
The situation is very, very tough. The country is at a risk of violence. That to be clear. The country is at a risk of violence because take for example the party led by the former Prime Minister Cellou Dalein. One of the government member, who is even the spokesperson of the government, belong to EFDG. But because of what the party has considered that it is, he has to be removed from the party. The decision was made, and the judiciary system cancelled that decision, asking the party to accept them. And now that the party is in the process of renewing the leadership, the same judiciary system has stopped the process. And now they're telling, on one hand, to the party to renew their leaders. At the same time, the judiciary system is preventing the system to go forward. So it's like everything is being done to, prevent some political parties to compete at the next elections. And if that happens, it's going to be a nightmare for this country.
That leads me to my next question, which is to say that is it a political witch hunt to the political parties suspended and dissolved, or it is just that these political parties did not conform and then meet the standards of the territorial administration's benchmark?
I would say both, because yes, on the process as it happened, one will clearly understand that it's because those parties didn't abide by the law. That's one thing. But on the other hand, it is also a political game that the junta is playing. They want to prevent some politicians from running.
Dr. Faya Milumono, president of the Guinean Liberal Bloc. Up next is sports news with Sankule Janko.
Hello all there, warm welcome and thank you for joining us. Cameroon Football Federation FECAFOOT President Samuel Eto'o has pledged his full support to CAF President Patrice Motsepe after being elected into CAF Executive Committee. Eto'o's candidacy was marred by controversy after he was disqualified by CAF before he was reinstated by the Court of Arbitration for Sports, CAS, after an appeal ahead of the CAF executive election. Despite the problem with the African football governing body leadership, the former Indomitable Lions captain has vowed to support the Motsepe-led CAF executive. Elsewhere, the Confederation of African Football CAF has confirmed Ghana as the host for the CAF African School Football Championship 2025. The competition, staged among boys and girls from various schools in the continent, will be played from 21 to 26 April 2025. The highly anticipated continental finals will be played at the University of Ghana's Legon Sports Stadium in Accra. This is the first time the competition will be staged in West Africa. Since its inception, 1,965,000 boys and girls from 46 countries have participated in the program. Super Eagles players and technical team have begun arriving at the Nigerian camp in Kigali, Rwanda ahead of the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers. Nigeria will take on Rwanda on Friday 21 March before hosting Zimbabwe at home 4 days later. Coach Eric Schell invited to a 23-man squad for the double encounter. Early arrivals include star player Victor Osimhen, Bruno Onyemachi, Papa Daniel Mustafa and Kayode Bankole. And Senegal superstar Sadio Mane is the latest father in town after his wife Aisha Tamba gave birth to a baby girl recently. The new baby was baptized here in Dakar last week at his uncle's house. Congratulations to the Senegalese football legend. And that's it for sports. It's back to you.
And with that, we've come to the end of this edition of Newslink here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Maudo Diouf and Umu Daniego for the technical support. Do interact with all of our social media platforms, X, Instagram at WADR English, on Facebook, WADR English Service, and stream live on WADR.org. I am Abdullahi Hassan. Good evening.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.